By the authority given in the statutes of the Open University, I declare this congregation open for the conferment of degrees and the presentation of graduates. Distinguished guests, graduates and friends of the University, it is my privilege and pleasure to welcome you all to the 26th of the Open University's degree ceremonies being held in this year alone. It is my great pleasure to welcome our honorary graduate, Dr. Ben Goldacre. We are delighted to be able to honour him today. Each year, the Open University awards over 14,000 degrees, and throughout 2014, more than 7,000 of the graduates are being presented for their qualifications at degree ceremonies such as this one today in Manchester. These are being held in 13 different towns and cities throughout the UK, as well as in Dublin, in Versailles, in other places as far apart as Moscow, Bucharest and Addis Ababa. This illustrates the extraordinary scale, scope and reach of this Open University, underlining the fact that you today are joining a worldwide community of graduates. It goes without saying that this is a very important occasion in the life of you, our graduates, your families and your loved ones, as well as the university staff, who I hope you will feel have nurtured and supported you. You could be forgiven for thinking that this occasion is so important that it needs to be solemn. You'll be quite wrong. In every sense, this is an afternoon of celebration. So we will be very disappointed if anyone crosses the stage this afternoon to anything less than thunderous applause or whatever other way you choose to express your enthusiasm and support. With that in mind, why don't all of today's graduates briefly stand and join me in expressing your thanks to all those in the audience who have helped and supported you on what must at times have felt like a long and arduous academic journey. Today's ceremony will begin with the presentation of those graduates who have gained a higher degree and who will have been able to attend here today. They will be presented by Mr. Ben Pharma, Director of Assessment, Credit and Qualifications. Ben has worked in the Open University for 27 years, 25 years as Director of Assessment, Credit and Qualifications, i.e. getting the students here to their graduation day, and more than 10 years working as graduate presenter, actually meeting students when they graduate. Over the years, he has presented no fewer than 20,000 graduates in total. We will then see the awarding of the honorary degree of Doctor of the University to Ben Goldacre. Professor Hazel Reimer, Dean and Director of Studies in the Faculty of Science, will present Dr. Goldacre, who will sign the honorary graduate's book. Then we will continue our presentation of graduates with those who have gained first degrees. To conclude the ceremony, if you've got the stamina, I'll give a personal address to the graduates. I now call upon Mr. Pharma to present higher degree graduates.
Pro-Chancellor, I shall now present graduates who have gained higher degrees and have been able to attend here today. For the degree of Doctor of Education, I present to you for a thesis entitled The Experience of International Students with English L2 in a Scottish Further Education College, Angela Smith. I present to you for the degree of Master of Arts in Childhood and Youth, Lynn Freeman. Tracy Needley. For the degree of Master of Arts in Classical Studies, I present Christine Perry. For the degree of Master of Arts in Education, I present David Monaghan. Lisa Haggerty. For the degree of Master of Arts in Online and Distance Education, I present John Blaze. And Dana Taylor. For the degree of Master of Business Administration, I present Ellen Caddick. Andrew Carroll. Andrew Crowther. Matthias Dopen. Janine Hart. Margaret O'Connor. Simon Willocks. Alison Lomax. For the degree of Master of Public Administration with distinction, I present Kate Hurd. For the degree of Master of Science in Advancing Healthcare Practice, I present Amanda McAndrew. For the degree of Master of Science in Computing for Commerce and Industry, I present Seth Martin. John White. For the degree of Master of Science in Environmental Decision Making, I present Andrew Martin. For the degree of Master of Science in Forensic Psychology and Criminology, I present Kimberly O'Connor. Paul Ormerod. Susan Prynne. For the degree of Master of Science in Information Systems, I present John Mannion. For the degree of Master of Science in psychological research methods with distinction, I present Nicola Bonner. For the degree of Master of Science in Psychological Research Methods, I present Kimberly Daly. Lena Lemos-Lyons. Anne Morris. For the degree of Master of Science in Psychology, I present Camilla Hunter-Howard. For the degree of Master of Science in Science with distinction, I present Tracy Reeves. For the degree of Master of Science in Science, I present Carol Bruff. For the degree of Master of Science in Social Research Methods with distinction, I present Elizabeth Waggett. For the degree of Master of Science in Social Research Methods, I present Jo Darrant. For the degree of Master of Science in Software Development, I present Robert Whaley. And for the degree of Postgraduate Certificate in Education, I present Kimberly Schofield.
Pro-Chancellor, colleagues, graduates and guests. Dr. Ben Goldacre is one of Britain's best-known scientists thanks to his campaigns to combat bad science, which are at once necessary, accessible and thoroughly engaging. Never let the facts get in the way of a good story, goes the saying. But Ben believes exactly the opposite. His style is witty, but his message is extremely serious. His work unpicks the claims behind the headlines to give the public information unadulterated by marketing and spin. In the process, he has challenged claims which range from frankly ludicrous to downright irresponsible. He has influenced policy and changed practice while both entertaining and educating the public. Educated at Oxford and at University College London, Ben qualified as a doctor in 2000 and since then has trained in psychiatry at the Maudsley Hospital and epidemiology at London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. In 2003, Ben began writing Bad Science for The Guardian, the column which made his name for debunking shoddy pseudoscience wherever he found it. And he found it alarmingly frequently, whether from television, nutritionalists, or multi-billion-pound drug companies. Some of his sharpest criticism was reserved for those who alleged and those who reported the supposed connection between the MMR vaccine and autism, perhaps the starkest example of the damage that bad science can cause. Bad Science became a book, which has been a worldwide bestseller, selling over 500,000 copies. It was shortlisted for the Samuel Johnson Prize for Non-Fiction and frequently named as one of the books of the year. Bad Science was followed by Bad Pharma, which exposed the sharp practices perpetuated in the pharmaceutical industry: selective publication of results, manipulation of trials, and a failure of regulators to tackle these issues. His own work aims to set the highest standards of ethical, responsible, and transparent research. He has, for example, worked for the Cabinet Office to bring randomised controlled trials to public policy questions, and for the Department of Education to improve the use of evidence in education. He co-founded the AllTrials campaign to work for the full disclosure of all clinical trial results, not just the positive ones. He also directs Better Data, which aims to improve the way that data is used in academia and medicine. Their first project is a tool called Randomise Me, which enables anyone to set up and run a rigorous, randomised, controlled experiment. He's currently a clinical research fellow in epidemiology at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. A gifted communicator, he's greatly in demand as a speaker and appeals to audiences of all ages and backgrounds. According to the Health Services Journal, Ben has done more than any other single individual to shine a light on how science and research get distorted by the media, politicians and quacks, PR, and the pharmaceutical industry. And his work has changed the landscape of the public discourse on science and evidence-based medicine. So we're delighted to honour an individual who, by debunking bad science, also shows us what good science looks like, for the benefit of patients and the public alike. Pro-Chancellor, by the authority of the Senate, I present to you for the degree of Doctor of the University, Ben Goldacre.
Thanks. It's actually quite embarrassing receiving an honorary doctorate when you've spent quite a lot of your time knocking the legs out from more dubious correspondence course doctorates like that of Dr. Gillian McKeith, PhD, for example. Or to give her full medical title, Gillian McKeith. There's also nothing more horrible than standing next to somebody who is saying something nice about you. So I'll return the favour. You've done something quite remarkable, I think, and it's genuinely moving to see, not the people getting the degrees, but to see people's families and the people who've supported you over the course of the last, in some cases, not 1 or 3, but 5 or even 10 years. But also not just you, but also the Open University. Because collectively, you, with them, you're taking knowledge out of academic journals, you're taking knowledge out of lectures and out of books, and you're putting it, first of all, into people, but then off and out into the real world. And that's no small thing, and it has real power. Putting knowledge into students is one thing, but after that, it kind of goes on a journey to patients and to colleagues. And obviously, science is about turning data into knowledge, but people are about turning knowledge into action. And a lot of you are obviously doing degrees which have practical value in your life. But I think more than that, knowledge goes to the pub and to the dinner table. And I think it's important to remember that that's not just an important or interesting side effect. That's one of the core values of learning about stuff. And that's why it's so great as well that the Open University's been at the forefront of taking knowledge not just to their own students, but also onto television, onto the radio. I think there's also a kind of broader issue here, which is that we're looking at the end of a very long journey of people taking knowledge away from people who wanted to shield it and protect it from the hoi polloi, from scruffy people like you and me. It's not that long ago, in terms of generations, that people campaigned to keep the Bible in Latin so that everyday people couldn't read it. And since then, we've seen knowledge become theoretically accessible in books, in the expansion of libraries, in the expansion of literacy. And it's really notable, I think, that one of Fidel Castro's first revolutionary acts wasn't to train people up in how to fight, it was to teach the peasants how to read. But also now we're beginning to see cheap and essentially free and unfettered access to almost all of human knowledge online. And that is a truly amazing thing. That's something which, for most of you, will baffle your children, the idea of an era before the internet and before MOOCs. But it's important to remember, I think, that knowledge isn't just about facts. It's about how you think through them. It's about how you critically appraise them. The Royal Society, one of the oldest scientific establishments in the world, has its motto written in stone above the entrance, just like the Boy Scouts. And it says, nullius in verba, on the word of no one. And that's because in science, in academia, in the real world, in the community of sensible, clueful people, we don't care how many letters you have after your name. We don't care how many doctorates you have. We want to hear the reasons why you believe what you believe. We want to hear about the methods of your research. We want to hear about the results, and we want to have a critical discussion about them. So, I hope you've picked up more than just the skills to understand knowledge. In fact, I know you have. But also the skills to criticize it, to pull it apart. And lastly, your families, obviously, are proud of you, and your partners will be proud of you. But this sounds wrong, but you should let them sip from your cup. And by that I mean, you should be proud to be a clever dick, and you should be proud to be a nerd, and you should take your knowledge and skills out into the real world, and remember that you're now part of this huge, ever-growing, giant squid, hidden in plain sight, with your tentacles in every crevice, sucking and spreading knowledge throughout society. Thank you very much.
Pro-Chancellor, we now come to the part of today's ceremony that marks the presentation of graduates who have gained a first degree and have been able to attend here today. The full subject and classification details are printed in the directory of graduates. I present to you for the degree of Bachelor of Arts with First Class Honours, Amanda Bennett. Claire Berry. Alicia Briggs. David Brooke. Kathy Case. Barbara Caulfield. John Critchlow. Leslie Cunningham. Christine Delamere. Angela Erith. Roger Eden. Jennifer Heil. Matthew Kelly. Alexandra Lanisek. Helen Lawler. David Oliver. Joanne Princeton. Leighton Pritchard. Sasha Ratcliffe. Gavin Roach. John Robson. Anthony Smith. Andrew Stevens. Jade Wilson. Stefan Ziegler. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honours, I present Afra Ahmed. Charlotte Allen. Victoria Ashcroft. Sarah Axford. Emily Baker. Kelly Baptiste. Rebecca Bates. Adele Babich. Nikki Beadle. Decima Beecroft. Charlotte Bayton. Alex Bellis. Novenka Bex Priestley. Danielle Bowers. Sally Brownbill. Alistair Bryan. Alexandra Bukovits. Pete Carrington. Samantha Carter. Claire Chapman. Laura Chivers. Matthew Considine. Ruth Cook. Sharon Cowan. Susan Crichton. Isla Davison. Natalie Delano. Alison Devine. Sarah Drinkwater. Dawn Faisy Webster. Catherine Farfan. Rachel Farrington Allen. Elizabeth Fell. Catherine Fitzpatrick. Karen Fryer. Heather Gallagher. Nick Giles.
Thank you.
Selena Goff. Sarah Gray. Paul Griffiths. Lindsay Hall. Leslie Hassel. Janet Hemsworth. Kerry Highfield. Rebecca Hinchcliffe. Selina Howell. Lucy Hughes. Anne Ingalls. Daniel Jensen. Eleanor Johnson. Samantha Johnson. Julie Jones. Katerina Katashis. Hannah Keeliger. Leanne Kendrick. Lynn Kershaw. Julia Coburn. Henderson Leslie. Jennifer Lievesley. Ria Lowe. Pamela Maman. Alison Jane Martin. Catherine McClune. Catherine MacDonald. Kirsty Mitchell. Mania Moncrief. Patrick Morgan. Richard Morgan. Denise McAdam. Deborah Murphy. Janet O'Driscoll. Karen O'Hagan. Elaine Oates. Shola Okunu. Linda Orme. Lindsay Ormston. Barbara Perry. Daniel Player. Carol Plumpton Walsh. Lucy Price. Joanne Race. Alam Rahman. Juliet Redfern. Carly Redgate. Francis Reeves. Scott Richardson. Gary Roberts. John Roberts. Andrew Rogerson. Christy Roper. Tanya Ryland. Samantha Sanderson. Paul Sefton. Anne Sexton. Kenneth Smith. Gillian Spooner. Sharon Spruce. Victoria Hill. Julie Steele. Roxanne Stewart. Mandy Strong. Alan Tandy. Suzanne Taylor. Sam Thomas. Michael Thompson. Julie Turner. Helen Vaughan. Kevin Wellings. Amy Whittaker. Sophie Rachel Wilkinson. Jeff Woodbridge. Adrian Wright. Nicola Yates. Eliza Zelazko. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honours and a Foundation degree, I present Rebecca Robinson. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts, I present Christopher Bailey. Kate Beeden. Christian Benitez. Alan Crane. Katie Fryer. Derek Hodges. Naomi Hollywell. Jacqueline Howard. Jackie O'Brien. Anne Pask. Jean Rimmer. Samantha Scholes. Laura Stevens. Deborah Thiesby. Bernie Turner. Nicola Unsworth. Kay Warner. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering with Honours, I present Mark Burton. Janice Friend. For the degree of Bachelor of Laws with Honours, I present Sharon Chell. Heidi Cooper.
How'd you follow that up?
Richard Craig. Brian Douglas. Christopher Reeves. For the degree of Bachelor of Science with First Class Honours, I present Susanna Balshaw. Elizabeth Blomfield. Helen Brindle. Richard Brown. Gareth Davies. Becky Elliott. Darren Ellis. Victoria Ellis. David Gibson. Victoria Hope. Richard Hutton. Suzanne Kirby. Helen Munday. Sheila Richardson. Anthony Robinson. Sue Smith. Austin Stack. Matthew Taylor. Luke Tennant. Thomas Whitehead. Benedict Wren. For the degree of Bachelor of Science with Honours, I present Rachel Ayres. Rebecca Ayres. Alex Barnard. John Benson. James Blackledge. Gemma Blake. Jennifer Bonson. Hannah Bowden. Hazel Butler. Darren Capewell. Brenda Cookson. Stephanie Coulter. Adrian Connolly. Justin Devereux. Ryan Devlin. Sarah Dutton. Tony Finn. Tracy Firth. Claire Foodie. Karen Foster. Etta Gabrielou. Susanna Gaddis. Colin Gaffney. Siobhan Gorn. Carol Goldsack. Jane Gormley. Leanne Goldborn. Gary Greenwood. Laura Harrison. Jacqueline Hughes. Linda Irwin. Amanda Jackson. Lisa Johnson. Pam Jones. Patsy Jones. Zabs Karim. Georgina King. Victor Law. Michael Lawson. Philip Lewis. Sejal Makwana. Yvonne Maprana. Michael McDade. Diana Meakin. Tim Morgan. Ross Nicklin. Roseanne Panico. Pamela Preston. Peggy Ramzumer. Martin Rattledge. Anne Roberts. Hugh Roberts. Stephanie Roman. Susan Scott. Elaine Sexton. Malcolm Shearer. Alia Tabassum Siddiq. Diane Sinclair. Diana Skeets. Claire Smith. Adam Swallow. Andrew Sims. Dawn Taylor. Jade Tomlinson. Vicky Unsworth. Joanna Vasey. Margaret Vernon. Christopher Webster. Anne Welsh. Christine Williams. Lisa Williams. Anthea Wood. Russell Woodfield. Mary Wright. For the degree of Bachelor of Science, I present David Banks. Christine Barber. Helen Bashford-Malkin. Paul Campbell. Amy Clutterbuck. Alison DeVille. Doreen Flanagan. Valerie Grace. Maura Hamilton. Frank Hignett. David Hill. Neil Morgan. Beverly Nuttall. Natalie Pollard. Darren Scott. Ivor Smith. Bertan Speaks. Philip Stevens. Julie Wiskin. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts, I present Emma Bailey. For a foundation degree, I present Rebecca Bradley. Julie Brooks. Annika Brown. Claire Clark. Catherine Cox. Caroline Coleman. Julie Cooper. Angela Corman. Joe Dowse. Louise Hayes. Lisa Hickman. Claire Holdsworth. Paul Humes. Debbie Knight. Lindsay Lamb. Cheryl Marsh. Kerry Rendell. Paula Speakman. Sue Spencer. Caroline Stallwood. Nina Truman. Servat Upal. Amanda Watson. Suzanne Welsh. Adam Whittingham. And for the Diploma of Higher Education, I present Stephen Brennan. Rhoda Green. And Jacqueline Kennedy.
Well, you can see what an amazing performance it is an Open University graduate ceremony is. The faces that you see, that I see, are just astonishing. The amount of work and effort, and I think the fulfillment that you all get out of it is amazing. I want to say a few words about the momentous times we live in and you will all have to work in. We have a relentless population increase in the world. We have, sadly, widespread global conflict in the world at the moment. We never expected that. We have the largest economic setback in the Western world that has happened in my lifetime. We have undeniable trends in climate change which will affect our lives in ways we can't contemplate at the present time. We have the explosive impact of the internet, and I want to say a bit about that later on. More parochially, we have Scotland, and we have the question we Celts ask is, what do we do about the English? And we're thinking very hard about that for you at the moment. And finally, we have, not surprisingly, a divided, bewildered electorate, as was seen in the by-elections last night. Now, The Economist had an article this week talking, a very interesting, long series, talking about the internet and how it works for mankind. The dilemma for me is that whether, in all the turmoil that I've talked about, the internet will prove to be a force for good or a force for evil. On the good side, of course, we have, as you've all seen, global access to knowledge, which was inconceivable when I was a student, completely inconceivable, the scale of which you can, and the way you can access knowledge all over the world. The Open University does this in hundreds of countries across the world. Couldn't have been done without the internet. Secondly, the remarkable transformation in medical science, which is really throwing our system completely. The internet and the digital revolution has played a huge part in that, so that I think for every year you live, you can expect to live another 6 months longer because of the internet's progress, because of the transformation in medical science. We have reduced the enormous experience I see often in design engineering. The way people now design cars, airplanes, whatever, is now done on digital techniques. All fantastic. Clothes, another example. We have the transformation in the way people shop, which is something that I think Tesco are learning to their cost, that people are changing their habits because of the internet in a very spectacular way. And despite everything, we live in a safer world because of the digital application to the workplace, to the way we travel, to our homes. But, and there is a but, there are lots of good things. We are experiencing massive job losses as computers take over what people did before. In the next 20 years, I suspect lots of people working in offices will no longer find it possible or be needed because computers will be doing it for them. The videos and the mobile phones have enormously strengthened the capacity of the terrorists to do damage to our society. Criminals are ruthlessly exploiting the technology, whether it is in fraud or pornography, all of these issues. The decline in newspaper readers is something I regret, because whilst we read newspapers online, we only read the bits that we think we're interested in. We don't explore areas where an editor of a newspaper might take us to. Trivialization, as can be seen with the sort of nonsense you see with cricketers this week, people talking indiscreetly about irrelevances on the internet and causing a lot of excitement and entertainment for people, but also diverting people away from serious things. Intrusions and threats to our privacy, as has been seen in this series of scandals about phone hacking in the last 3 or 4 years. And lifestyle changes. People are taking less exercise because they're spending rather more time than they should in front of computers. Now, one of the problems is, a great Chief Justice of America, Oliver Wendell Holmes, said once that taxation is the price we pay for democracy. I would add taxation and regulation, that if you have an unregulated society, you have chaos. One of the great difficulties with the internet is the inability of us to regulate because it is global and because we cannot control. And that is quite frightening because it requires cooperation on a global scale. And many of the countries who are operating in that do not understand regulation the way progressive countries in the West see it. So where does the OU fit into this? As one of the great beneficiaries of the internet, the OU is undoubtedly a force for great good because of the internet. No question about that. Using the technology to enable us to reach to people across the globe to improve their education, their careers, and their way of life. Helping people to get the full benefits of this technology in a wider sense. Helping people to adjust to the rapid and disturbing change in the workplace. Never did lifelong learning mean more, because your skills that you might have today might not necessarily be appropriate in 10 or 15 or 20 years' time. Today is a celebration for you all. You've done the right thing for yourselves, for your society, and I should say for the Open University. We at the OU find these celebrations, like today, the fulfilment of the whole purpose of our existence. We hope you've got as much out of this experience as we have. Now, would all the graduates stand? May I ask all the guests assembled here today to once again express their warmest congratulations and best wishes to you all. The proceedings of this ceremony have been completed, and I now declare this meeting of congregation closed. Will all those who are able to stand please do so?